A beautiful 2x2 formation as the first group, the SP9s and the SPX, get ready to do battle. They are waiting for the green flag, which will come out right in front of our commentary booth. The sun is shining down, the track temperature is decent, and the 50th anniversary Total Energy ADAC 24 Hours of the Nürburgring is underway, with the Ferrari holding the inside line. This is very brave from those at the front. Here comes the Conrad Lamborghini cutting to the outside, but the pole sitter, the Octane Ferrari in its new gold colours, has taken the lead and held the lead from pole position. There was a little love tap from the Lamborghini onto the front row starting BMW. Now, will that have caused damage to either of those cars? And there's a spin.
No, third position, BMW up into third, so the Lamborghini losing ground on the exit of that chicane, and Verhagen's got ahead of the Conrad Lamborghini.
So the Lamborghini just with that little tap to the better placed of the BMWs. But this is a very, very good start indeed from Jonathan Hershey, who took the wheel. It was Luca Ludwig, of course, who got the trophy for the qualifying, but he's handed the car over to Jonathan for the first stint. Second group, the biggest of the groups, just over 50 cars, with the Porsche Cup cars at the front. This is the new 992 Carrera Cup car. This is called Cup 2, and they will come to the line now, Ben.
And the field spreads out over the line, as you would expect with, the cars are not in particularly class order. They are still mixed up, so you might find some cars a little bit out of position and needing to be quite aggressive in the early laps. The KTM there losing quite a lot of time. We've got two KTM GTX cars and going down into turn one, already falling back through the field, so perhaps slightly artificially out of position, although the first of the two is still in fourth position.
Behind them, there's some names that you'll know if you follow us on Endurance Racing. The family crawl, Chantel Prince now with her husband, and the rest of the family in an E46 GTR. Fantastic, that's the number 200 car. But it is the Golf trying to go around the outside. That's the number 10 car. The Volkswagen Golf trying to get around that Subaru in the very traditional STI colours. Behind them, Yasmin Presik, part of the team of the 310 Volkswagen Golf GTI TCR. The Stankos are right in there as well with their 113 Seat Leon, converting pole position very nicely. Thank you very much indeed. And of course, as I say that, the 880. Now that car got a penalty earlier on in the weekend.
He had to back out of it.
Kevin Estra looking at the back of another Porsche, Earl Bamber, and then the Scherer Sport Team Phoenix car, the number 5 ahead of him as he's picking his way through the field. And at the first run through the Grand Prix circuit, the number 44, we noticed got a bit out of shape. An intervention vehicle on the grass to make sure it was well out of the way of the cars as they came up to the top of the hill.
That Dacia Logan is our slowest car by quite some margin. In qualifying, it was a minute slower than the next slowest vehicle.
Read it right. Philip Engel just had to hesitate a moment, and Jordan Pepper straight back in, looking for a run down the outside. He's got the job done. Can he keep it around the outside? He's got traffic in the way. I'm not sure he can.
Oh, no, he
think he can. No, there's a back marker going to one each side. So Engel down to the right-hand side. Jordan Pepper down the inside. Jordan Pepper's got the job done. And Neil Verhagen says, I fancy a bit of that as well.
That was the 119 Toyota Altis that they went by. But it's not over yet, Ben, because all of that started effectively at the Tiergarten to put any fuel into that. So was that side-by-side contact earlier on for the number 33. It's the only thing that I can... it's the only thing that I think of.
Number 5 Audi. Number 15 Audi, sorry.
So that is the Phoenix, one of the Phoenix cars. And that was in the scrap earlier on. So the 33 has lost a lot of time and had to come down the pit lane.
Out of that, thank you very much.
We've got damage to Grello on the left front. He had a little bit of contact on the Grand Prix circuit at the start of this particular lap, Didn't see exactly which car it was with, but he was fighting with the KCMG Porsche, and there were 2 car collection Audis in there.
So what they're doing down at Manthey is preparing the replacement parts. Now, there was contact with the back of the KCMG car.
Oh no, he got
hit down the inside by the Porsche number 29 of Dynamic Motorsport. And Jeremy Shaw, my co-commentator for the IMSA events, I'll be working with him next weekend for the Detroit event. He thinks very highly of him too. On the grass, the outside wheels on the grass, and makes the pass. The Conrad Lamborghini. What we were saying about these cars, how quick they are, how reliable they are. There's no easing yourself in here. It's on from the start. It'll be on for the whole 24 hours, and it's on for second place here as the BMW down the Dodiger. We said how quick it was in a straight line. Well, that's a little bit of a draft from the Ferrari, but pulled out nice and early. And now the lead car, the pole-sitting car from Jonathan Hershey, has dropped down to third position. Maury Krantz and Alexei Veremenko. And there's another change in position, and this time it's for the lead. And BMW, Ben Constanduris, lead.
Of Jonathan Hershey, and then a little bit of a gap to the first of our Mercedes, the number 4 machine, with Muller and Campbell.
From the Touristfahren area. We're keeping an eye on the number 1 car coming through. Damage for Estrian, the Manthey Grello defending race-winning car.
The Volkswagen Golf in SP3, the number 143, and we also have a BMW 328 that's already in the pits, and we do have a change for third position. Ferrari drops down a position, Nürburgring up to third position now. It was only at the very end of the lap where he got past.
Ken Childs tweeting us at RSL_studio. What kind of fuels are there in the alternative fuel division? They are all sustainable, renewable type of ethanol-based fuels. And there are 6 cars in the AT class this year. We have seen various other fuels, including LPG cars, running in the past.
It's really struggling in that particular area.
Up the hill. They put you put in touch a moment or two ago. Patrick Pilet is in the barriers with the left rear, having had a side swipe with the right rear. Excuse me. This is the number 44 Falcon car.
So it includes a change of front bumper for the number 1 machine that had that damage at the very, very start of the race. Kevin Estra bringing that car in. We've got Nicky Team with TF Sport coming in, as you mentioned, that was going to happen.
As has Raffaele Marciello. And the AMG Team Get Speed number 4 comes in. Actually, the Ferrari hasn't pitted, has it?
Well, it did.
Spun around many times over. I mentioned Opel Astras a short time ago, and was that the car that had brought out...
it is.
Yeah.
That's when it gets much longer and it becomes a bit more of a problem.
Pro Sport Aston Martin dragging part of its rear diffuser there, I noticed. That's a GT4 car, so the aero, nothing like what it is on a GT3 car, and it departs the car, dark green and orange Pro Sport entry on the main straight.
Order every time. It's always Neil Verhagen starts, Dan Harper goes in the middle, Max Hess the third stint, and that's what they're going to do. And I was talking to them about it earlier and said, any different strategy for the 24 hour? And they went, no.
There was almost a coming together as they crossed the start line there, and that was just a bit of side draft. Oh, both wide at the first corner, and that is Maro Engel making a very uncharacteristic mistake, getting muddled up with Patrick Niederhauser, and the 2 Get Speed Mercedes now leave as pretty much 1 from the Yokohama S. Got to be careful not to bang door handles with your teammate. A big squirrely moment behind as well for Patrick Cole in the car collection Audi.
So not a problem. So maybe being held
spin.
Up quite
That's
somewhat.
where he lost the time. It was a spin for the 90 car, and I'm trying to work out what part of the circuit that is, but maybe an unprovoked spin, feeling the pressure from Kevin Estra. Pit stop after only 5 laps. Another car off the road. Is that a Huber Motorsports Porsche number 25? One of the GT3 cars within that class. Without a doubt, and we're going to throw many more elements at it yet, including pitch dark, including possibly weather, low-hanging fog, and you've got the distraction of the spectators here as well, who do their very best to distract drivers with all the antics that go on in the Eiffel forests.
I talk about fan favourites. I'm a big fan of the Dodge Viper. That's the AT class leader, the alternate fuel class leader in 43rd overall. Cup X is the KTM Crossbow of Teichmann Racing. That's car 161. They're in 39th overall.
Let's hope the two haven't had a contact together. Let's just say, the BMW, the junior BMW there of Dan Harper getting really tangled up with one of the BMWs. I can't quite catch the number on it there. I think it's the 321, I think it was. It's entered Tiergarten, it was. So right at Bell to come into the lap there. It's just collected the lower class BMW. I don't know quite what's happened there. He's turned... I've got to say, I'm sorry, that BMW was keeping out of the way. I think that's a misjudgment on Dan Harper's part there. Just collected a back marker, and most of the front left bodywork is missing the headlamp, etc. It depends, of course, whether it's done suspension damage or not. So BMW Junior Team's 72 entry, a little bit derailed for the moment.
Ferrari's made it onto the Dottinger Hur. This is the 126 Octane 126 Ferrari, which was on pole position. Yeah, bits of bodywork falling off it now as that Goodyear tyre continues to delaminate, Peter. Rather, first of all, is going through. There's an intervention vehicle on the circuit as well. So this is to deal with a car in the barrier. I didn't quite glimpse which one of those it was. Driver, it looks like, in the middle of the road as well. And this is an incident that's taken a long section of track towards the carousel. And a moment or two ago there was some contact coming out of the first corner as well, and that was a spin, in fact, for the Audi number 24, which is one of a couple of car collection Audis in the entry. Joe?
The good news is that Stein Raceboy has located some gold gaffer tape for me. I've already ordered 19 euros for a roll, so I've ordered 3.
Those around it, like Raffaele Marciello, were happy to push on for an 8th lap, and you can historically do that very comfortably around the Nürburgring Nordschleife. So Marciello on lap 8. Kevin Estra's done a 5 to start things off, like Nicky Thiem. Although before we do that, what happened a moment or two ago between the Tok Sport WRT Porsche and the number 7 Lamborghini? They arriving on the Grand Prix track more or less together, and the 7 car muscling its way by. Also, problems now for the 116 True Racing KTM. Rear right has gone down. I think that's just a tyre rather than buckled suspension.
Despite the fact that right in the stitching with Jordan Pepper couldn't gain him, now action elsewhere in the track.
Yeah, the car in 69th overall, which is a Porsche Cayman, has ground to a halt after rattling the barrier.
255, I think that is.
At least once.
It is.
Good spot, Nick.
Yeah.
So 255 is one of the K. Kramer Racing 718 Caymans that runs in Cup 3 off the road. And already before it turns the corner is backwards and does indeed rattle the barrier several times.
Oof,
and has,
that's a lot of damage, that is.
It is.
That's almost certainly broken the front suspension. So sometimes you need a bit of luck.
Yes.
If you're going to actually find a chance, if you're going to have an accident, have it towards the end of the lap, otherwise it could be a very long time.
Yeah, you do not want a crash on, Hatson back, really. If the Grand Prix track, it's okay, because you can just forget about that lap and duck in the pits.
It's right in front of the leaders, and actually there was a lead change because of it.
Wow. So... OK, so the car on the inside is not the spinning Porsche, obviously, but the spinning Porsche are a bit further down the road. And as everybody checks up and reacts to the yellow flags, the leaders have to go around the outside of an Astra, I think. No, it's a BMW.
BMW,
yeah, it was BMW, you're right. And the Brave Marshal's going to have to... Oh, this is what I was worried about, you see. Tok Sport and Rover Racing, next door garages, one told to go, the other one told to go, and they've clashed in the pit lane.
They're here almost every day.
So are they down at the other end of the Dottinger Hur, the main road there at Monschau, is it? Or
if you go down to Le Mans.
Okay.
You know where that is?
I don't know where that is. Do tell.
It's in Italy.
Yes.
And it's a major RC race. It's the International RC Championship. He's been selected as one of the invitational drivers for that. So he's going to be driving his RC in a massive, international competition against the best in the world.
I'm
very easy to fall out with people like Max Hesser, isn't it? Because they're based in this lovely part of Germany, in the Eifel Mountains. They get to race huge GT3 cars around the Nürburgring Nordschleife, and then on their weekends off, effectively, go to Italy to race RC cars.
Cars ahead, and I mean the gap.
That's the gaggle that pitted after only 5 laps, isn't it? To kind of give them track position. Side by side, a moment or two ago between TalkSport WRT, that would have been the race to come into pit lane, I would imagine.
7/10 last time by. Now they're going to have to slow through a slow zone.
He didn't slow enough.
Kelvin van der Linde didn't slow enough.
Rear-ended the.
That's
David Drinkwater's car.
It is David Drinkwater making his way out of the carousel.
As a mandated, obviously, by the US federal agency, seems to be okay. But Christian himself, very nearly. Yes, there's a triple love tab. This is the sort of thing.
The N25 thing.
This is the thing. It happened on the N25. We'd have all the highway wombles over there, and the road would be closed for a fortnight, and there'd be a 95-mile tailback.
With the Porsche, just slips out of the slipstream now. We'll see the momentum, and look how close he keeps the car. Now he pushes the car away and off towards the Tiergarten. Now what can happen here is the Porsche can get back behind the Aston and then get a bit of slipstream and get back on terms before the Tiergarten.
I think now they've opened for it and goes back to the 116, still struggling through. That car not come back from his last at the KTM Crossbow GP2. That not come back from when he had the puncture a few minutes ago. It's still wandering its way down the Dottingham.
I can imagine this is still the same lap. There have been some pretty long sector times.
It's a kind of a slow zone in.
It's
a progressive slow zone
of the slower classes getting all scrunched up with each other.
Because if you do pass through Brunchen or somewhere, you know that he's just going to slipstream by you when you do get out onto the straight.
Yeah. What's noticeable is Fred Macco really is missing a bit of pace at the moment, Fred Macavizzi in the Manthey number 1, because he was 3 seconds slower in the last lap than Maxime Martin. We saw they were nailed together over halfway around the circuit, so he lost about 3 seconds in that second
remember,
part.
he put his wheel off and caused himself.
No, that was after that, because they got back together again during traffic.
Okay. So
and he lost another half second in the first sector of this lap. So I don't think at the moment for ultimate pace that Manthey Porsche is particularly working well. Could be temperature, could be tyres, could be where they are. Doesn't mean they won't streak away by 15 seconds a lap during the night time, but at the moment he's not enjoying the conditions quite as much as the TF Sport Aston Martin.
But Cup 5 now has a couple of BMW M2s in it.
Hotspot taken out. And
wow.
Big accident as the Rower BMW takes the Talksport off going into the chicane, which is before you go onto the Nordschleife.
So that's Andlauer being overlapped by about half a car length by which of the BMWs was it?
Lucas Stoltz.
Must be the 99.
99, yeah.
In a bottle of GT3 cars.
In two minds, one of the car collection Audis, which side of a Porsche Cayman does it go on the exit of Arenberg? That was Patrick Niederhauser for car collection, catching one of the Avia Zorg Rennsport cars.
Van der Linde in the Team Phoenix Audi, he's finding the slipstream as well. The BMW alongside the Porsche into the Tiergarten. Will the Audi has to step back and slot back under the rear wing of the Manthey Porsche.
Fred Macco giving not more than 1 inch more than the car's width.
Then they did 8, and now they are 6 laps into potentially another 8 lapper. As side by side now, Fred Macavicki trying to fend off the 15 Phoenix Audi of Kelvin van der Linde, but cannot hold it back. So that's 2 of them through. Ahead of this Porsche run by Manthey, the car and the team that won last year's event, remember.
There we go, let's find out.
Right, so chasing a Cayman from Cup 2 possibly. He's hit the back of it, and that's is that one of the Avia Zorg Rennsport cars? Tricky to tell, but he's
done big damage on that front right.
It's a tyre going down, isn't it? Yeah.
Now, is it? Oh dear.
So front right tyre, major bodywork damage as well, and therefore this next run through Sector 5, which should normally take just over 2 minutes, is going to be 3 or 4 minutes. Yeah, well, you want to try and stay on the lead lap with the work included. The team at Bilstein should be able to turn it around as quickly as possible. But effectively, you've only got 8 minutes. You want to try and do it in, 16 minutes, I suppose, to try and stay on that lead lap. It shouldn't take him anything near like that. Now, Adam Christodoulou, side by side with the Phoenix Racing Audi of Frank Stippler, and sweeping around both of them is Fred Macavicki for Manthey. So Fred is going to get some of those places back again.
It's exactly as I described. They made the move before they got on the Dottinger Hohe. They got ahead of Macavicki.
Yeah.
Now they're on the Dottinger Hohe. Macavicki comes back at them with the use of the slipstream. They're going to have to follow him back round for another lap.
To 4th position as a result of that. So it is still Maxime Martin that leads the motor race for Aston Martin. Car number 90 ahead of John Edwards and the 15 of Kelvin van der Linde. But the jostle for 4th position continued all the way around the Grand Prix lap.
It just underlines how important it is to keep your wits about you and to respect the flag signals and the other drivers around here, and if not, the penalties are fairly draconian.
Very strong. I'm curious, and Nick and I were trying to work this out as we left our first stint, because of course we left with the Lamborghini right there at the field and the 99 BMW. There hasn't been huge dramas for either of those two cars.
Gearboxes and everything else, you kind of go, probably they may well scratch it, and they are scratching it, absolutely.
Back at the garage.
Yeah.
That's it. Either they want to clear the garage and do more work on it, or that is it could be something even more serious though, Nick. It could be a catastrophic failure.
Various points, but quite sporadic running out there at the moment.
At RSL_studio, if you want to get in touch with us here in the booth, it's Nick Damon, Ben Constanduris and John Hindhaugh for the next little while.
That's Van Thor versus Van Thor. Dries Van Thor and Lawrence Van Thor. Change of position.
Instant vehicles moving on the tracker, so I think they've cleared the car. There's
Aston Martin number 69 GT4 going for a spin a moment or two ago, and I think needs to put the Euro Millions on, because I'm not sure there was any touch on the side of that car. Maybe there was, because that Doe Motorsport, Dirk Muller, Frank Weisches, Stefan Kensmich and Finn Albig, the SP10, that's a GT4 SR or GT4 car. Year to year changed the way that you have to look after your tyres.
For this year, it was done in some places where it doesn't really affect the car so much. So I would say a lot of things carried over from the previous year, because for sure the following year it really changed a lot, maybe how you set things up or do things on track, whereas this year wasn't the case.
Just watching a couple of cars. And a touch for the man-side Porsche. This is going to go into the barriers hard, and it has done at the Tiergarten.
John, that's the brothers. That's Lawrence and
Dries Van Thor, who are battling over 4th and 5th position for Audi Sport Team Phoenix. The defending champion Porsche is in trouble, and that is serious damage. Approach down to the compression at the end of the Dottinger so quickly, and Matty, you brake so late there now that really you well up the upslope before you even think about getting off the throttle. To the dirt on the right hand side as they're coming into that kink, and they are well through the right handed part, and the Manthey car can, I'm afraid, wave goodbye to a defence and an 8th win for Olaf Manthey. There was a tiny little touch there through that right-handed portion as they were coming up the hill. Good job by one of the Get Speed cars coming up behind. That must have been Daniel Juncadella, who was following in behind. And that is a very damaged Grello Porsche number 1. You're on the ragged edge there, Mark. Let's not worry about what the judges of fact are going to say, but you're on the ragged edge there. The tiniest touch there is going to unsettle the car.
Qualifying and everything like this, but we just need to be able to make a nice, safe car, easy to get up to speed, give good confidence, and as you can see, it's very busy out in track there as well.
So yeah, you saw my eyes widen there as Frank Stippler's right up the back of the Get Speed AMG, all going uphill. And a big dab of the brakes for Chris Dudulu, and there was a little train of paint there into an area where there's course vehicles there, part of the Radio Show Limited network of channels, who will be seeing we're 2 lap short at the end of the race. That's 20 hours away. But the brains trust that is on the wall and in the garage. Double Bathurst, Liqui Moly Bathurst 12-hour winner. Speed for the Pro Sport Aston.
That's so the end of Hatzenbach, isn't it? Is that further back, further round?
I suspect that it was traffic that held up the Audi, and indeed it was at right at the bottom of the hill. All of the momentum for Vincent Kolb was gone as they start to, you cannot go side by side through the lefts.
Yeah, you can. Fabian Schiller says you can. He's just done it and got the job done. Got through Cassius all the way up to the Caracciola carousel. That is
stunning.
He's got equipment I haven't got. Wowzer.
That, Peter, great driving from him.
Great driving for them both, actually, John.
Yes, that's exactly the point I was going to make.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. Spin for the GT86, number 140. The bright.
He found a reverse as well there.
Excellent. Oh, we've got a stationary Aston
Another
Martin.
Pro Sport car, yeah.
And that's just coming out of Brunchen as well. And that is the 150.
The 131, Johnny, down in 7th in Cup 2, Milner Motorsport. Hopper at the wheel. He's catching that's Cup 2, 7th in Cup 2. He's catching 6th place. That's the two Black Falcon Porsches ahead of him, lapping ever so slightly quicker than the cars in front. Oh, and we've got a situation out on track with the number 160 pulling off. It's the KTM, von der Laden at the wheel, and that is quite a conflagration now. The rear of the car,
Arenberg
completely engulfed in flames. Now remember, the mid-engined cars, Marshall just getting to assist in trying to put out that fire, and course vehicles already there going for the fire extinguishers. We've got a fire extinguisher on the car, clamshell opening on this car, and the fire very swiftly put out.
Extraordinary efficient.
No, not quite. The car rolling forward, I'm not sure why, out of the reach of the marshals now.
Felix out of the car then? He's already clambered out, and now the car
is...
Oh, he's trying to get back on board to leap on the brakes, but it's already accelerating away from him, rolling down the road, and this is one of the steepest parts of the circuit. You couldn't really make this up, guys.
No.
It's now stopped because it's smacked into the barrier on the left, but that set alight some of the grass, I think, or maybe a component of the car.
Which has come off it, yeah.
Electronic gear selection, he would not have been able to get that car into a gear to lock it off. And went straight on into the pit.
Yeah. So the KTM of Teichmann Racing, by the way, the class leader in Cup X, already on fire heading towards Schwedenkreuz. Audi in 3rd, and a moment or two ago there was a little bit of a collection of SP9 cars around one of the lower class Caymans. In fact, the car running in 112th position.
Bronson get out of it, yeah.
So we'll watch.
Probably Nicky Thiem back in it, because Thiem did the first 5 laps, then did an 8-lap stint. Maxime Martin an 8-lap stint, David Pittard 8 laps, and Sorensen's just done 7. So I'm guessing
Nicky Thiem, the rotor comes around really quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And the KTM then going to the right and then having to massively check up. It was nearly cleaned out and into the barrier there, going through Galgenkopf, I reckon, and on to the Dottinger Hood. Yes. That's the reason why Robin Freins was tucked in right behind its car, that car.
It's part of it now, and you can't make it too big. You can't sandbag too much because they will see it. So, but everybody pushes to the limit and maybe, give up 2 or 3 seconds in qualifying here.
We'll be excited to get involved in it. Thank you for coming across to have a chat with us. It's really nice to catch up with you. And we wish Racing 1 well.
Yeah, thank you. Enjoy the race.
Cool. Thank you. Jermaine Blakemolen.
Yeah, I think both came together. So when I started, for example, karting, I was always interested in the technical aspects of it.
Yeah.
Now, Sheldon van der Linde is shown stationary.
Is he stationary? I think he might be stationary. This is...
If he is in the road racing, he has come to a halt. This is the man who was running in...
The sparks were not...
Oh, it's come off.
The sparks were not something that was normal. There were lots of sparks happening on the right front. I think he's had some kind of a failure on that right front, which is...
Possibly a puncture.
Possibly a puncture, but he's hit the wall.
Big style.
And he's hit the Armco barrier, I say, and then stationary in the middle of the road. I hope that the flags are out, but Sheldon van der Linde.
That's your man who was running in 2nd. That's the 2nd of the Rover Racing cars. They've already lost the 99 due to its own fault. A tremendously bad result for them. There's Vervish. I think he's following the problem. Huge amounts of debris on the track. And Fredrik Vervish in the Audi Sport car has managed to avoid the stricken Sheldon van der Linde. So, yes, it was very much the shot we came to. The car was already out of control before it hit the barrier. Team Phoenix, he's got a 15-second lead over Maxi Gotzel, who is in the Mercedes-AMG. He's over to pit stop. We think next lap he'll be coming in.
That's our leader.
Third is Alexander Sims as the 1-2-1 rejoins. We'll pick him up in a second. Speed. So we just look at coming out through turn 1. As they come through the world unpleasantness, the nastiest left hand in the history of the world. But before that, the 1-2-1 was turned round by one of the Mercedes. Really hard to tell in the lights.
Kind of might. It looks kind of CP racing-ish.
It's like one of the GT4 Mercedes rather than the 3.
Oh, yeah? Unfortunately, though, the TF Sport run Aston Martin disappeared from our timing screens for a while. We lost it out on circuit. We then saw a huge incident for Sheldon van der Linde on his own.
Also receiving some action. And now we have the 257 came in, stopped at the side of the road. That's the Eichenberger car, the 257. Just trying to find the team name there. Bear with me a second.
Yeah, Schumacher designed the Vidal chicane.
And then and the Schumacher S's are named after him.
And then the Schumacher S's are the one before it, that are named after him.
Somebody also facing the wrong way on the Grand Prix stretcher in turn 1. It's looks like one of the. Is that one of those red and black? It looks like a 992, one of the new 992 Cup cars. He's 127. I can see half a number.
But in a really strong position, and obviously a very nice strong stint from Alexander Sims, as you would expect from him. We kind of think of Simsy as an electric Formula E driver.
Rafael Marcello getting squeezed heavily, I think, on the downhill section.
The 81 being the, where are we? The 81 being the Pro Sport Aston Martin.
There's a Cayman off. Oh no, it's not. There's a problem with the Kelvin van der Linde.
I'd say that was a Cayman.
In the Scherer Sport Team Phoenix is in the accident. Another accident. This is major news now as we come to. It's the 9th position car.
Yeah.
We're going to see this action now.
Chance to monitor the replay. The Cayman says indicates to the.
On the Grand Prix track. And what happened there is they're coming through. I think that was the Michael Schumacher S's. As Kelvin went past, he thought he'd actually got past, but unfortunately it was a tag on the rear end by the Cayman, so he swept back across just out of, so he wasn't quite far enough ahead, got tipped round at the rear by the Cayman, and then he got fired off into the barrier, which luckily was a slight way away due to the fact it's the Grand Prix circuit with own GT4. And that's the 44. That's one of the that's the Falcon Porsche in GT3, and he's got a problem out that at the rear right. It was smoking badly, actually. Has he had an accident? Has he hit a very wobbly
McGann?
Oh yes, a 44.
Nico Muller in contact with the 44. It's Picarello in the 44, not Pile. Pile's in the 33. We give him a second tap to spin him around.
Wasn't enough to hit him once.
Nico doing DTM styly there.
Racing John Cooper Works Mini. Haven't seen that mark here since 2017. Not sure if that's the same car. Haven't been able to find the chassis number yet. In the True Racing KTM Crossport, unfortunately I can't tell you where. Kesselchen's now been upgraded to a full code 60. Means that everybody isn't pitting at the same time. So Jens Klingman in at the end of the lap. In fact, in he comes right in front of us as off goes a Cayman 718 420 Four Motors Bio concept car, one of the alternative fuels machines. And no, it's not. It's the 85. So they dropped down in the position. That's one of the Black Falcon cars running in SP10. He's right down at the bottom of the hill at the Goodyear hairpin, and he's had a little help from one of the KTMs. I think that's the 116 car actually, and that has eased him off where we had the Falcon Drift Show on Friday night. The Autorama AG Seat Leon is at the head of SP3T now after the problems for the Subaru. last year. Dan Harper in the BMW Junior Team BMW. They've had a funny race as well. He's got himself into a position where he was on the grass. Did he hold on to the number 72 car? Yes, he did.
That's by the same people, but it isn't part of the championship. Earl Bamber, we asked him why he takes part in it. We now know why that is. It's that important, it's that thing. But what are they doing at the next NLS round?
It's the 86. I had two to choose from.
That's more than a day's work.
Yeah.
Well, it depends what your job is, of course. But that's a full day ahead of everybody.
There are some 24-hour races that start at midday, for example, and when you get to Sunday morning, that feels like a shorter race, a better format with the indicator on. Oh, but there's a problem for one of the Teichmann Racing KTMs in Cup X. 163 has found a gravel trap on the Grand Prix Strecker, and this is the 163 car that is running second in Cup X, 56th overall.
And it was just a case of carrying too much speed in, missed his apex completely, just carried far too much speed in. It wasn't like he lost the back end, the car just wouldn't turn into the corner. And that, I think, was down to the laws of physics.
At the last possible moment, and it was dry around most of the circuit, but it had now forced absolutely chucking it down. But I just have a feeling that this race is going to have a bit of a sting in the tail, and that might be weather related.
It always is at the Nürburgring. The ambient temperature might be really low, but the heat on the track is getting quite hot out there, Johnny. Personal best lap time for the car, 8 minutes 14.883. At the moment, the number 15 Audi is lapping slightly quicker and has extended that lead from just under 13 seconds. An engineer to get your head around, but I'm pretty sure Tom will be back. Former teammate of our colleague Peter Snowden. We've got the number 72 off, Johnny, and that's a significant runner. The number 72 is the BMW Junior Team. The BMW M4 loses it
big time.
Yeah, and there's just no runoff. I'm not quite sure where that is. I'll just check the tracker, Johnny, and see if I can get a location on where that is.
Kesselsen, Klostertal,
yeah,
maybe.
into Klostertal.
The 20-year-old German from Wernau, and he's a previous TCR champion in his homeland for a Huber Motorsport Porsche. Rear right tyre's gone down. Is that the 72?
No, the 72 is the BMW.
Oh, no, of course it is. That's the BMW, yeah.
Is it the 22? I thought, hang on a minute.
That's a bad idea.
Fingers are beginning to feel it a bit.
Yeah, and that's not because Max Hesser is thinking, oh dear, right, now I'm getting an impression of quite how much damage has been done.
Yeah, very much. Another car off, and it's an Audi. It's the number 16. It's an Audi going off, and I think that's up in the Schwalben.
Yes, it was.
Schwalbenschwanz.
Relatively new to the seat of the number 12 car. He did stints earlier on in the race. There wasn't a gap there, Raffaelli.
It's just coming out of the Hatzenbach, Johnny, and it's that sequence of left, right in the Get Speed Mercedes there. And current lap, fastest lap of the race so far, 8 minutes 11.6 from Marcello in the Bilstein Mercedes, car number 12, out on the Dottinger Hole. Problems for the 228, Johnny.
Yeah,
that's Porsche Cayman.
Second in the V6 class. We're going to be talking about Marco Sorensen and Nicky T from the Aston Martin. Oh, there's another car involved, though.
Yeah, wasn't a harmless spin. He was helped round, wasn't he?
Yeah, by a Valkenhorst BMW. Now, that might have been the 102. Dolly trolleys applied, and the car is spun through the 90 degrees to get it pointing in the right direction again. Now, the BMW that's just clashed with Rasmus Helmisch in his Porsche Cayman S is feeling the ill effects, but later on, its best lap of the race, the best lap of the race, as a rotating BMW draws our attention. That's the 324.
In and amongst the fans, as we've had the 261 Porsche spinning, and whether that was helped round, course vehicle already there, the number 261 Cayman Club Sport in Cup 3, now showing signs of a bodywork catching the front right corner. So whether we saw the aftermath of perhaps potential coming together between cars. No, he did it all by himself.
It's a big place to go off as well.
I'm not sure where that is.
It's Schwedenkreuz, the left-hander into Arenberg, where the KTM caught fire last night. So the lead has gone through. Oh, and that's quite a big smack into the barrier, actually, leaving the road at Schwedenkreuz, where the car is on the ragged edge, and the Team Mattol racing car heavily into the wall. Yeah, so thankfully rejoining Tony Richards. That's actually the Peter Kate car, which I hadn't twigged. Now, this is a big moment down at Arenberg. Is there something down on the road then, I wonder? Because Maxi Gertz has just gone off.
Trail of oil, Johnny.
So actually, the Cayman maybe has gone off on its own because of a mistake, and that's now left. That's the Porsche, isn't it? Further down the road. Yeah, and falling apart, sadly. Peter Kate, a good friend of the channel, and has been into our booth a couple of times.
And there's the tour that we're seeing now as the BMW moves under the rear wing of the Audi, moves out to the right. They're side by side towards Tiergarten, move towards each other. They're into the kink looming large under the bridge now, and through into the lead has gone Alexander Sims, and the BMW leads into Tiergarten through the left, now the right, into the left and right. It's a very, very tricky sequence of corners here coming off the Dottinger Hohe and across the line. Be very circumspect to get around traffic, and we see the Schubert car just kicking up dust there, moving round the slower Golf TCR entry. This is the uphill section towards Bergwerk as we look at the 121 Porsche. It's had an off, a big off by the looks of things, heavy damage, and it's at Tiergarten. Back to the right hand side of the car and heavy contact to the left, and the car does shoot off to the right hand side of the car. Heavy contact with the barrier, pretty much where we saw, pretty much very, very close indeed. Those marshals on the entry to the Tiergarten have had a very, very busy night. They've been hit by the Manthey car.
Yes. Armco, brand new Armco, because often if there's a big crash, unfortunately, like we've just seen, the BMW, is that Alexander Sims off the road?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. The race leader off the road, heading down towards Exmuller, talking about beveled bits of Armco. We've got more of it, because Alexander Sims has made an error. BMW off in the second bit as Metzgersfeld. He turned in at the right point, but for some reason the grip levels just weren't there for the front end, and the car skates off and into the scenery.
Yeah, he
just missed the apex of the car, but the Glickenhaus is off in the background as well. There's got to be something down on the road surface there.
And is it because of rain, Johnny?
Well, the windscreen wiper's just been popped on by Kelvin van der Linde. That slippery surface flag is out as well on the run-up through Breitscheid. It is raining at Exmuller and Breitscheid, so that is the reason.
We've got a wet track before the Exmuller Bergwerk area, Kesselchen, and through Klostertal and towards the carousel. We've now got the sun coming out and the track beginning to dry. So whatever that was, that little bit of I call that kind of a Disney cloud. It's like a little black cloud that comes across, downpours, and then disappears.
Nearly at 8 o'clock in the morning, the rain is still pounding down on certain areas of the circuit, and somebody else with a moment this time. It's one of the Pro Sport Aston Martin.
Tired. Yeah, it was a long night. It's unfortunate to end the night like that because the pace was there. Nordschleife is a complete different beast compared to everywhere else in the world. I mean, you can just see how hard this track can bite back at you.
A Porsche in the wall.
One of the Black Falcon cars. This is down at Brunchen, and it's been quite a smash by the looks of things. He's made contact multiple times with the barrier.
Oh, he's taken too much curb. It's the 122. It's the teammate of the 1-2 who took too much curb, trying to avoid one of the Cup BMW. Absolutely his fault, I'm afraid. The Cup BMW did leave a car's width, but he just went too far to the left to do weird things. Another problem for another Porsche down the Dottinger Hohe. That's a puncture. Not quite close enough on which of the Porsches it is.
To salvage something from this disaster.
Oh dear. There is a car that's just pulled away. I think wasn't that Cup car that we just talked about in second place. Obviously the suspension is 10 million times better, and the handle, the lap hits faster.
But so often you can jump into the road car version, and it's untamed and actually a faster vehicle.
Morning, Rob. Thank you to Kerry for all her work on the overnight shift. Been so much incident and accident. Genuine contenders. What TF Sport and that organisation have wrung out of this effort as the number 3 Mercedes has pushed onto the grass. I'll get back that to a moment, because the Hyundai Driving Experience 332 i30N hatchback has come to a halt. The four-way flashes are on. It's to driver's right, just beyond the tourist lap entrance to the Dottinger Hurt of that car. Well, it was fine coming out of Brunchen. Still looking in pretty good condition with that distinctive eggshell blue base coat for the N cars. Is there a little bit of a wobble on the front wheel or the left wheel there? Am I trying to see too much into what our director is showing us? 332.
I've also got a stationary Porsche at the second carousel, the number 300. That's a 718S.
Oh, that's class leader.
Yeah.
That is the class leader. That is the Matol car, the sister car to Peter Cate's T61. I'm not an engineer by any stretch of the imagination, but I think the 300 has had a cooling issue. Peter Snowden and John Hindhoff with you, with again what has to be said is very, very threatening dark clouds over to the western side of the circuit, and off in the background, that is the
TCR car, isn't it?
It's one of the Cupra TCRs, I think. And rain on the windscreen of Vanthoor at the top of the foxhole at Arnberg. That is where the bad weather comes from. We've been talking about the dark clouds over to the west and southwest, and that is enough to need the wiper for Fabi Schiller, who is not far behind, just 4 seconds now.
WT Mercedes. Has the Conrad Motorsport Lamborghini been off the Grand Prix track recently? Well, stayed on the track, but just dipping a couple of wheels in the gravel track. Who's at the wheel of that? Is it to Michele Di Martino?
It is.
Are together again with each other.
If you think about it geographically, the carousel is on the opposite side of the castle to the Grand Prix track. So we've got rain on the Grand Prix track, and across the other side of the valley we've got rain, but each side of that it's completely dry.
Right.
Flashing on the Audi. Dries Vanthoor needing to clear this traffic. He does one car, he's got one car ahead of him towards the Sabine Schmidt left-hander onto the Nordschleife, and the Audi has cleared the two back markers. Now Schiller and the Mercedes clears the second car, so they're back together, clear road ahead of them.
By some traffic, I reckon running deep and out of now force there was Dries Vanthoor, and now the Mercedes is properly on the back of the Audi R8, looking for a way by. We're going to go left and then left again at Metzgersveld in a moment, and Dries Vanthoor positioning the car perfectly so that the Mercedes cannot get a run into this part of the circuit. The harder stop through the left-hander. They're now heading towards Kallenhard and Versyfen.
Yeah, I'm not sure what sort of season they've had, Johnny. I'm not really a follower of Bundesliga.
Now, the moment for the Max Cruiser Audi was coming through Wippermann, Flansgarten, and he certainly has had big damage on the left-hand side of the car. These TCRs built very toughly, but I would be surprised if that car can come back home under its own steam.
It's not going to be towed either, because he's lost the rear end.
Is drying up. It is. It's like another country.
Yeah.
You've gone from from Northern Europe, almost Scandinavia, to Mediterranean.
And Christopher Haase, so much faster.
Massive.
You've got to give him the space here, because he's going to get by somewhere, and at Brunchen there is a switch around again. That is for fourth position as Christopher Haase in the 22 car collection Audi gets back in front of Alexander Sims.
Almost never is a right tire in these conditions, because as you watch and as the conditions change, I mean, to do 8 laps, to do 8
street tire,
be
relatively durable in these drying conditions.
I know opinions are going to be divided on this, but I've never been a big fan of hand-cut slicks, especially on a circuit like this. I don't see the advantage. I don't think there's a long enough use for them.
Christopher Haase off the track there, the number 22. He was following
I thought that was the 55.
The man filter car.
Yeah, I think it's the 55. I mean,
yeah, Treff's behind the wheel of that at the moment.
That was absolutely sucked into someone else's accident.
SUV, the Mocha, one of the DM.
It's not wanting to follow that in a straight line, is it, John? It's not liking that. It's on a very short rope, which worries me. I've seen a couple of incidents this weekend, but it doesn't.
I think that has rear steer, which wasn't specified on that version of the GT3 car.
So that has had to do with a lot of track. Oh, facing the wrong way is a 310.
This is one of the. Yes.
I've got to say, sorry, but 11:41 for a 1600cc road car is hugely impressive.
15 miles in 11 minutes, averaging 80.
Yes,
around the track.
There you go.
Now the 310 got quite a lot of right rear damage.
This is another Max. This is the Max Cruise Racing.
Yeah, a lot of right rear damage on that car.
Slightly concerned. I thought he might do this. I thought he might strand himself on the curbs. Just got away with it.
Yeah, but it's gonna
nearly high centred it on the curves. And where is that? Right rear damage, as Nick said. Oh, he might have got some help here actually. No. That is coming down. Is that Vipperman coming down?
Yeah, I think so.
Towards that area of the rear suspension's gone.
Base engine.
Yeah,
short motor. No, that's that head, isn't it?
When we were talking about the launch of the road car through the carousel for the car collection, Lion Speed car, sideways side, got it. Oh, don't got it. But stopped just in time. That's the 23 car entertaining us a moment or two ago. Last hour, the 706 leads SPXs. We've got a big incident coming onto the Dottinger Höhe, and this is going to bring out the code 60s. So let's just take a moment to assess what's going on. There's a silver-ish car.
Number 18. So it's the number 18 car.
Nick Damon in the pit lane. Nick Damon.
If only.
No, you normally are.
You would have heard the end of it if I had been. There's something to do.
Exactly so. Nick Damon in the booth, and on the side of the track at the start of the Dottinger Höhe, a rather second-hand Porsche GT3R. This car will be upgraded next year to the new body shape. Dennis coming through Galgenkopf and just washing out at the very last moment on the last part of it. I wonder, Peter Snowden, if that was a left front puncture as he was coming through there, because he didn't look as though he was on the wrong line. He didn't look like he did anything wrong at all. So either something on the surface of the track limited his grip, or something went wrong, Peter, with the car. 100%. I think this is the end.
I think it's over, John.
I think it's over. They had worked themselves.
Massive fire on the right-hand side, haven't they? Oh no, that's the heat.
That's the exhaust. Heat around the exhaust.
A big fire, but it's just the pure amount of heat from the exhaust, 800 degrees.
This car had fought its way into contention, dropped 5 minutes or so during the middle of the night on a slippery, slidey, greasy track where they got a puncture. 10 years ago, Audi took their first ever victory at the Nürburgring Nordschleife 24, and they take the checkered flag in 2022 for the 50th anniversary running. This is a manufacturer who at the moment are unsure where their future lies in endurance racing. And Chris Renke, the head of Audi Sport Customer Racing, is there on the pit wall to congratulate Audi Sport Team Phoenix, where the race victory is won or lost. Past the Toyota Altis as well. Krista Dooley across the line, confirmed in second place for Mercedes team Get Speed, and the gap between them, Nick, is
not come off my list yet, but it was running at 54 seconds.
55 seconds.
Yeah, so then he lost
276.
Passing the two KTMs. Then they got hit by an Aston Martin, dropped down into the late teens, possibly the 20s, have fought their way back to 12th position, and they have at least won their class. Jim's going to get a trophy.